Some nibbles. J-Dawg back to answer some more goddamn questions. First two in line came in yesterday, I think. Two paid questions. None for today, though, god damn it, which is unacceptable. Those are just left over because I got fucking behind. First one's from Kenneth Zana. Sup, J-Dawg? I've been noticing over the years the absolute lack of audience enthusiasm at shows over the past decade. Mm, yeah, it depends on the show you go to, but I mean, honestly, even since my days of going to shows, it feels like there's a lack of audience enthusiasm even then compared to what it was in the 80s and 90s. And the only thing I can compare that to is videos, whether it been bootleg VHS videos that people captured that I saw, or nowadays YouTube videos or shit like that. Because I mean, I've seen videos with, dude, I'm telling you, go look up like Morbid Angel playing at like 89, 90, Sinister on their first couple albums, Repulsion in the 80s. These are ones I actually watched, and dude, the crowd's going fucking ape shit, and the band just had energy for goddamn days. It's not like that, and it was never like, even when I started going to shows in the '90s, it wasn't like that. Now you get a depends who you see too, though. There is exceptions to the rule where you go to and get a pretty goddamn good crowd edge. One of the better audience performances that seemed like the guy gets the crowd moving is I think they weren't the headliner. I didn't go to see him. Was the band Origin in later times? Because the band Origin, I stopped caring about after their second album. I think their first album was fucking great. That's a great goddamn grindcore album. Second one's good too. I like it. After that, it became just too clean and technical, and just one ear out the other, just basically noise. I'm like, where I get that they were another band that fell in a category. Let's just play super technical, extreme music in the sake of writing good, memorable songs. It's like you did listen to it, like, fuck yeah, this shit's intense, but goddamn, I mean, I can't fucking remember a goddamn thing. You know what I mean? It just goes in one ear out the other. But they were playing, I remember it was at the Foundry, and whatever singer they currently have, it's not the shit, it's not even the second singer, the singer from the first album. I actually got to see him with the first singer when the Origin was just out. It was with them, Exhumed, Deceased, and Cephalic Carnage, the year 2000. That was actually the first time I met King Fowley. They were touring for Supernatural Addiction. Exhumed was touring for Slaughter Cult, and Cephalic Crappage was, I didn't even give a shit about even since day one, so I don't know what the fuck I'm there on. I think they're on the second record though. When I saw Origin at that, it had the original singer, I forget his fucking name, the bald guy, and then the second singer was that huskier guy with the long hair. Cool dude too, met him. I remember him being a fucking funny guy, and I saw him a few times with him. But whoever the fuck they have now, some guy, I don't know who the fuck this guy is. But credit given what credit is due is he got the crowd moving like a motherfucker, dude. People were stage diving like a motherfucker, moving like crazy, and it just seemed like he got them to do that. He was able to communicate with the crowd, so I don't know. That was a pretty goddamn intense fucking crowd. So it happens, but it's few and far in between. Yes, I definitely have to agree with that. But again, this isn't the last 10 years. Shit. Last 25 years, bro. So from what I've been seeing, I've been to some shows with heavy, brutal performances with almost no reaction from the crowd. Yep. Same here. I've seen it. And as much as I like looking at hot chicks, what shows you going to, bro? Shit, there's not too many goddamn chicks in any of the shows I go to. Handful here and there, but I mean, tons of hot chicks. I mean, the only tons of hot chicks I've ever seen is at like a Cradle of Filth at Demi Border show. Tons of looking at hot chicks. Tons more women who obviously are more into being in the scene than liking the music are at these shows. That's dude, honestly, that's the females. That's 98% of females at all metal shows. And for the chicks that watch, which is very fucking few, before you get offended and saying anything fucking stupid, okay, if you disagree, then you're the exception of the rule. I said 98%. That means there's 2% that's not. Yes, there is some definite chicks that are really in the music. I know some personally. Here even in goddamn Cleveland. So, but yes, majority of them are there just to I don't know. Some of it is kind of like just as a support system. You know what I mean? That's what their husband or boyfriends do. I mean, to be honest with you, yeah. Like for example, does Elcat know as much goddamn metal or is enthusiastic about as me? No, fuck no. Is she sitting there listening to goddamn? I want to hear the incantation demo. She don't give a fuck about that shit. Um, But she goes to all goddamn metal shows, because it's an event that we do. She knows it's what I'm into, and that yes, she likes metal music, but she's gonna prefer to hear, Merciful Fate, Midnight, Deceased, Lurking Corpses, shit like that. I mean, is she super enthusiastic to see the goddamn Tish? Actually, she was kind of curious to see them for the first time because hearing me always listen to them and stuff and the movie samples and shit like that, she was curious. But now that she's seen them, but I mean, if it's like Sinister's coming to town, she's not like, holy fuck, I never seen Sinister, can't wait to see. She doesn't give a fucking shit. Um, but that's majority of chicks. Or there's the some that where they're just definitely there for all image, and usually kind of get a gauge um, by looking at them, judging a book by its cover. Sometimes it's they got the image and they got the goddamn the knowledge to back it up when if you actually go and talk to them. But it seems like that's few and far in between because, for example, I'll give you a prime example. Yeah, you go to, like I said, a black metal show, Dame Borger, Cradle Filth. I'm talking about not before that. I'm talking about even 25 years ago. I remember this in the 90s. So I saw Dame Borger on the Spiritual Black Dimensions tour the first time in 1999. Even back then, I'm talking about. So I'm not talking about recent dumbass fucking times. I'm talking about times before half of you jackasses fucking commenting saying something stupid right now. We're even goddamn born. Um, you would see that chicks that were all duked out, but guaranteed they were not. They were barely knew dick. Probably didn't own anything or knew anything, but they looked like shit. They looked like the most metal motherfucker in the goddamn crowd. Um, at those type of shows, that's going to be extremely fucking common. So, I mean, that's just the way it's always been, though. So, where the fuck they leave off in this goddamn paragraph? Metal feels like it's becoming novelty. Just looking at the try not to headbang challenge. Videos where people pretend to try to hold back headbanging while while Symphony of Destruction, Disturbed, and Corn play. Ooh, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but I wouldn't be at any of those goddamn shows. I wouldn't know what goes on at those. It's embarrassing, and it feels like people go to shows just to buy a T-shirt and say they were there. Um, I probably I get the vibe, man. You're talking about like bigger shows, like Cannibal Corpse, or even bigger than that. Because yeah, I guess it kind of goes on there, but if a band like Mulder comes to town, I don't think majority of the people are going. They're going there just to buy a shirt and say they're there. Fuck, to be honest, that was always kind of my pet peeve with the underground death metal shows back in the day when the Tish was coming to town, or would have been Deceased or Exhumed or Nunslaughter or whoever. It's kind of like I always wondered, even when Immolation came, if I saw them on the Failures for Gods tour, it was the Forever Unsafe tour, that's what it's called, 1999. Ghost goddamn town. And me and my brothers were always buying shirts and merch. Um, whether it been CDs, shirts, records, always at shows. And I always wondered. I think they thought the same thing. I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember if we had this conversation or not. I always wondered why are majority of the people not buying shit? They're buying their stupid ass beers. So I actually had the opposite. Um, just seeing what you saw. But again, it sounds like you're talking about like big fucking 500 plus crowds. Maybe at that shit, but I mean, for the most part, I don't go to too many shows like that. Like I said, if Cannibal comes, sure, the bigger bands that I like, but full disclosure, I've said it before. I mean, dude, if Merciful Fate or King Diamond, when they tour, am I even going to go? Probably not, dude. My last experiences kind of fucking sucked. It's at these goddamn football stadium arenas that where you got to have basically an assigned seat, and it's just dumb as shit. It's like you're watching almost from binoculars. That's why I never went to Iron Maiden. I never went to Slayer and shit like that. Part of it was because I'm like, they're going to play a bunch of new songs I don't know. I don't need to sit through 10-minute fucking boring ass Iron Maiden songs from goddamn some 2006 album. I was like, I have no interest in that. But the huge reason was also, I was like, I don't go to binocular shows, man. Me sitting on a lawn with fucking binoculars, $15 beers, $30 to park, and you got to park a mile a goddamn way. And that's literally what it is at a place like Blossom. And that's exactly what it is. It's literally binoculars out on the lawn. 10-minute walk easy to your car. I'm not even joking. It's like a mile away where you're parked, and $15 beer. So I'm like, that's not a show. That's not an experience. I want to be up close and personal. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't need to be my dick up against the stage, fucking right against the goddamn thing, and being able to fucking blow the singer if I wanted to. I don't need to be that goddamn close, but I should be able to throw a goddamn fucking beer bottle at the guy's fucking head if I desire to do so. I should be that within that distance. If not, it's just why even go? Just watch it on YouTube. That's the way I see it. So I don't really go to those kind of shows. Death metal isn't casual music. Agree. And at one time, only serious dudes would fly that flag. And when you went to a show in the '90s, you felt that intensity. Yeah, I mean, there was exceptions. I mean, a lot of shows I went to in the '90s, again, like I was saying, like, dude, you saw if Incantation was coming to town in the '90s, I mean, people were there. Don't get me wrong, but it was less than 100 people. Again, Immolation. I'm not even joking. There was like 20 people. The Sinister Rotting Christ tour, '99, less than 50. Definitely less than 50. Total fucking ghost town. The Tish, '99, ghost town. Um, the only bands that like kind of like were pulling people in when I saw Death in '98, that was a big crowd. Cannibal Corpse, 6 Feet Under, Debut Borger, Cradle of Filth. When you saw Deeds of Flesh back there, back then, ghost fucking town. Um, one time Deeds of Flesh and Disgorge and shit like that didn't have a goddamn ghost town was at Baxter's Ohio Death Fest. But if they were coming to town headliner, ghost town, flat out ghost town. Mortal Decay, ghost town. Severe Torture. I remember we went to I think it was Pittsburgh. We saw Severe Torture, Burial, um, Burial, the band with Enlightened with Pain. Great fucking Cannibal Corpse, Tune the Mutilated style fucking death metal band. And maybe it was Pessimist. Might have been those three bands, but it was definitely Burial and Severe Torture. That was like 2000 or so. I mean, maybe 50 people. It was less than 100. That's for goddamn sure. So that was the norm. So based on my experience, so I don't know what area you're from and what kind of crowds they were drawing, but what I was seeing, yeah, we're talking goddamn ghost towns. Um, Sometimes it even made you a little nervous. Why do you think so many people are pretending to be into it? It feels like it happens more in metal than other music. Question, dude. I don't know why anybody pretends to be into anything. The only thing I can think of is again, it spawns from whoever they're following. Back in the day, because there's always the posers back then. It's whoever their buds were in school or family members, etc. Nowadays, it's whatever they're following on social media, what they're gonna be buddy with and look cool. Because that's people care about just the human nature cares more about status, how they're viewed by others, their peers, all shit that I never personally gave a fuck about. All shit that doesn't represent death metal, in my opinion. Death metal represents individualism. Death metal represents toughness. Death metal represents not giving a fuck, and especially not giving a fuck with the outside normie mainstream football watching fucking douche canoes are into. Death metal's about all the opposite of that's how I always looked at it. So I just have to assume that most people they again they ain't got it up here, so they're just that's the crowd that for whatever reason they stumbled across. So that's what they're following to look cool, just to fit in. And that's why most people don't last, man. I've been over this a million fucking times. I mean, the shows that I've been going to 25 years ago and stuff, again, there's zero chicks that are still around that are into it. Again, a couple I know are still into it, but they moved out of state. When I say a couple, it's literally two that I can think of that are still into this shit, but they moved out of state. But the ones that are still in state, I don't see anymore. I don't see the ones that when I was at fucking whatever show you want to name it, 99. Say there was whatever chick was at 1999 show in Sinister. Whatever chicks were there, they're not going to shows in Cleveland no more. If they are, I don't fucking see them. And then dudes, most of them I know. It's not many. If I was to add it up, maybe 20, 25 guys. Where are they all at? They all fall off. So it's not. This has always been going on thing. So yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Kyle Gonzalez sent. That was pretty quick. It was, I guess, just a review, but goddamn, he didn't type much up. Dawn Patrol _ what came up review? It's on Bandcamp. My old thrash band. Thanks, doggy. So basically, he says his old thrash band is Dawn Patrol. I listened to it, dude. The first thing that crossed my mind, I was like, "This is thrash." As I was first listening to it, it reminded me of stuff like the Relapse Records that was considered, I guess, grindcore in the late '90s. Bands like Benumb, Dillinger Escape Plan, just not unlistenable shit, but just shit. I was like, eh, eh, not hitting the dog. I mean, give me goddamn Centurion. You know what I mean? I just wasn't my thing. But then as I was listening to more, you can hear that Municipal Waste. I'm like, oh, okay, here's like the thrash he's talking about. So to me, as listening to it, I skipped around, man. I wasn't gonna sit there and listen to 45 minutes of that shit. Not that it was terrible, but it's just crap I don't care about. It reminded me of Municipal Waste trying to play that fucking relapse goddamn so-called grindcore, Dildrick's game plan and Benum, things of that nature. Yeah, he's way off. That's what popped in my mind. Maybe that's the improper review, but I was like, I get the gist of this. It's nothing I gave a shit about, but I'll give you the shout out, stuff like that. What I did bring it up on Metal Archives, but again, that was yesterday. Let me re-put it in. I already forget. Like, I'll give the goddamn kudos where you're from. And again, I'm assuming I'm talking about the same thing, dude. You gave me goddamn slim pickings. You said thrash metal. Here's Dawn Patrol. There's fucking four of them. Go figure, I guess. This one's from Germany, one's from Slovenia, one's from France. I'm assuming you're the U.S. one, and from Memphis, Tennessee. So down where goddamn Elvis and all the fucking hillbillies. Band photo looks acceptable. Dude's wearing a Cryptic Slaughter money talk shirt. That's homeboy has Sacred Right the American way too. He's got the right gun. This guy knows what's up. Another guy has a suffocation. Haven't you forgotten? So definitely got looks like young kids that are excited about metal. To be honest with you, I hope it stays that way though. Yeah, you guys look passionate, excited about music. It's cool to see that. But come back in 20 years, let's see if you are. And my old band, your full length came out in 2020, so yesterday, and Undead Horde EP 2013. That's a new band, man. That's 10 years ago. New in my goddamn book. Status is on hold. They had to hang it up after 10 years. Members, yeah, this is Kyle Gonzalez, drums and vocals. I was like, goddamn King Foley and Dan Beeler. And Chris Reifert does drums and vocals. Yeah, it says just genre thrash metal. Again, I started to hear the thrash as to skipping around a little bit. I'm like, oh, it's kind of Municipal Waste style thrash. But if you're into that, and like I said, the other bands I mentioned, then check out Dawn Patrol from Memphis, Tennessee. Says they formed in 2012. That's horseshit. Formed in 2013 because that's your first release. They got two full lengths. Democracy Delivered, full length 2015. How can we call this progress? Question mark. Full length 2020. And then right now they're whatever, they're on hold, sticks in their hand, going to college, whatever the fuck they're doing. But yeah, it was okay. Is there anything I'd buy? No. But the shit I mentioned, if you're a fan of that, check them the fuck out. It's on goddamn Bandcamp. I found it. Just type in Dawn Patrol. Goddamn order question. Michael Hedrick, he's back for this 100th fucking question. Been a while since I've listened to Divine Empire, so I decided to reacquaint myself with the band by ordering the HHR Redemption LP. Dude, that's a death metal must, in my opinion. A death metal vinyl collection is incomplete without Divine Empire Redemption in my book. God damn it. Um, smokes the entire Snoreguts catalog. That's for goddamn sure, and blows away those fucking homeboys in Eternal Bleeding. That's right, I said it. Goddamn it, said it a minute. And speaking of Divine Empire, do you recall that Jason wore a Tampa Bay Buccaneers shirt and hat in the booklet photo for the Nostradamus CD? No, I do not, but that doesn't shock me the least bit. The Nostradamus CD, I remember that album Sucking Balls, so that fit the bill, but I have been meaning to go back and listen to that album because I remember Doom to Inherit kind of being, I always remember it being just okay, but in recent times, I said it about a year ago, I went back and listened. It is a very good album. It's still a downgrade from Redemption. Redemption is just like holy fuck. But Doom and Here you put up like I was like I am thoroughly enjoying this. It's just not as good. The Nostradamus, I think that's a third one because I think they might even have a fourth one. I remember when Hell's had them in stock. This is well over 10 years back in 2013, like the Kiddo Band. Um, I listened to it then. I'm just like, holy shit, this sucks. But I would be curious to go back and listen to it. But I don't even think I make it as far as the goddamn booklet. That was lame in 2003, and it's still lame 20 years later in 2023. This dude, that shit was always fucking dumb. Doesn't belong in death metal. I don't know what these idiots are thinking. If Jason is watching your channel, he needs to explain himself. To be completely honest, a little bit behind the scenes, the reason why I said that's not too shocking is because when we licensed the Divine Empire, it was it wasn't through the band. It was through not even the label. It was this. it's this guy. I mean, who licensed stuff. I think he's a lawyer. He licensed stuff for several of the bigger labels, and you pay this fee for all. Basically, represents whoever the labels, which labels own X releases, and you can choose from. That's how we did the Christians and Divine Empire, and I think there was something else. But those, so we saw, oh shit, this is on the licensing. We paid the fee, and when it came out, it's just like because the band doesn't even own it. So we didn't even send the band any copies. But Tommy from Redefining Darkness knew Jason and JP, and he told me, yeah, I can get their addresses for you or whatever, and so you can send them copies. Yeah, I'd like them to see them. So we sent them just a handful of copies, like 3 to 5 copies each. Um, they're like, oh, cool when it came out, and it's funny. I think it was JP though, not Jason, but those were the two guys that on there. But maybe it was Jason. It could have been one of them. Profile pic, cowboy hat, and he said something along the lines to Tommy. Oh yeah, that brings up memories, and it was something along the lines of what he said. You could tell hasn't listened to death metal in over 20 years, doesn't give a shit. He's listening to goddamn country and hard rock, and just living on a goddamn farm practically. And that's not me talking shit. It's just another guy out of the scene. I mean, so when you see that back then, when they're in the scene putting out music and they were in a sports jersey, yeah, I'm sorry. Like, A, you don't know what's up, and B, there's a since you don't know what's up and you don't have it here and you don't have it here, you don't have that death metal spirit. There's an extremely high likelihood that you're not going to be into this 20 years from now. You're not. You're 1 foot in only. You're a weekend warrior. Again, there is exceptions to the goddamn rule, but for the most part, that's what it says. It's a when I see that now, if I see a 25-year-old guy, I don't give a shit if he's in an awesome fucking band like Divine Empire and he's got a sports jersey on stage like that. I'm seeing that. I'm like 95% chance this guy will not be in a death metal 20 years from now. Now, if his band blows up and he's making money and he's getting fucking pussy hand over fucking fist, he's gonna stick with it just for that paycheck and that goddamn that chick ride because he's just doing it for the fame, for the glory. He's not doing it because he's in the music anymore. See what I'm saying? He's not an actual fan of the music. Again, there's exception. People, it's funny too because people brought up the exception. I thought it was dumb when he did it too. What about Paul Baloff, dog? What about Paul Baloff? Yeah, it was stupid as fuck when he did it too. And let's call it like the fuck is. How metal was that guy? He's on one of the greatest thrash metal records of all fucking time. He was kicked to the curb really fucking fast. And on top of that, how metal was he actually? From what I hear, from what I've heard multiple times, he was more just into partying. That's what he was truly into. Was he buying LPs? Was back then? Don't give me this burnout shit. How old was he in '85 and shit? That's when Bonded by Blood came out. He was in his 20s max. Max, he was 25. You're 25. You're young as fuck. Was he buying Seven Churches back then and taking it home and spinning it? Was he buying any of the other shit that's coming out? Buying LPs, demos, shit like that? I doubt it, dude. He was just let's go out, try to get laid, play music, let's get crazy, do coke and all this. That's not really metal, dude. That's with all due respect, that's a fucking drug addict. That's not a metalist. And I don't care if you do that shit. It's just that's not what I consider a goddamn diehard metalist. So yeah, him wearing a sports jersey and say he doesn't know what's up. Again, killer vocals and on a legendary, one of the greatest thrash metal albums of all time. Kudos there. Wish I would have got to see him with them with an Exodus. A photo would have been awesome, and Bonded by Blood LP signed would have been awesome on this. I'm not taking credit away from where he is, but to be honest, other than you sang on fucking Bonded by Blood, and you're an icon for that live performance, you know, the talking in between songs and shit because it was hilarious. Realistically, that was all you're good for. Everything outside that's yeah. What about Baloff? What about him? When we're talking metal and knowing metal and being in the metal outside of his own band, he was probably a useless fucking turd. Now that I wasn't there to confirm it, didn't know him personally, but I would bet that if I talked to people that knew him, not I met him, dude, not I did a line with him a couple times, we played with him. No, knew him for a good 10 fucking years, been to his house, had broke bread with him, etc. Knew him, you'd be able to you knew the motherfucker. Not this people's idea of knowing and friends is a fucking joke. Definitely different than my goddamn definition. But if I found somebody that actually knew him very well, I bet my description would be very similar, if not spot on, from what I just said. So what about Baloff? He wore jerseys. Yeah, what about him? He was fucking in the wrong too. That was dumb as shit as well. What about fucking him? They bring up Slayer. What do I care what those posers fucking think? Diabolus and Musica? They got 3 good albums, and then it's a fucking canoe fest. Dude, go listen to old interviews by Tom Araya. He even said it, I think it was in the 90s around, I forget which album, but there's an older interview when they already had a few albums out. Might even be late 80s. Late 80s, early 90s, where there's some chick interviewing Tom. I think Carrie might be in, or maybe Heinemann's in it too. And even Tom's talking. Never knew what this music was, didn't care. It was Carrie, I think he said it was Carrie and Jeff, or I think he just said Carrie, liked Iron Maiden and stuff. They played it for me, didn't know what it was. It was basically a thing to do. How metal do you think that guy was? At best, he went back and was like, I like Priest, I like Maiden, I like Sabbath. Okay, so does my dad. And my dad would tell you in 2 seconds, I don't like metal. If you ask my dad, do you like metal? His exact line, and he said it at least 10 times in my lifetime, I don't like that headbanging shit, those screaming demons. Because when you mention Sabbath or Priest or Maiden, he just considers that hard rock, classic rock. That's where he comes from, and that's what he likes. So Tom Araya is in the same goddamn book. Does he like metal? Did he pick up 7 churches? Fuck no, he didn't, dude. So yeah, what do I care what his sports ass jersey wearing fucking mofo ass was wearing? I don't. So another irrelevant fucking reference. Guy was never into metal. Nonetheless got out. So there you the fuck go. Comes Christmas, you know what we do. But it got my skin at the morning. Later, goddamn it.